You would think that the more money you earn, the more financially secure you feel. That's the assumption most people operate on. Higher salary equals less stress, more freedom, and a better life. And to a certain point, that's true. But then something strange happens. There's a level where your salary keeps increasing, but your financial progress doesn't move nearly as much as you expect. The stress doesn't disappear, the freedom doesn't expand the way it should, and the feeling of being behind doesn't fully go away. If anything, it sometimes gets worse. Today, I want to break down why salary stops mattering after a certain point, and what actually starts to matter instead. My name is Daniel. This channel is about understanding how money actually works using real numbers, long-term thinking, and practical systems. No hype, no shortcuts. If that's useful to you, take a second to like this video, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what your current income range is, not for comparison, but to anchor where you are in this conversation. Now let's walk through this carefully. Early in your career, salary matters a lot. Going from $30,000 to $50,000 is not just a raise, it's a lifestyle shift. You can cover your basic needs more comfortably. You have a bit of breathing room. You're not constantly reacting to expenses. Going from $50,000 to $80,000 still matters. You gain more flexibility. You can start saving consistently. You might even begin investing. At this stage, income solves real problems. But somewhere along the line, usually between moderate comfort and upper middle income, salary stops being the main constraint. And most people don't notice when this shift happens. They keep chasing income, assuming it will fix everything, when in reality, the problem has changed. There are 3 phases to how salary affects your life. The first phase is survival. In this phase, every additional dollar matters. Income directly impacts your ability to eat, pay rent, and stay stable. There's no strategy here, just survival. The goal is simple: increase income as quickly as possible. The second phase is stability. Here, your basic needs are covered. You can pay your bills, build a small buffer, and start thinking beyond the next paycheck. Salary still matters, but now behavior begins to matter just as much. Then comes the third phase, the one most people misunderstand: optimization. This is where salary stops being the dominant factor, not because income doesn't matter at all, but because other variables start to outweigh it. At this point, the real drivers of financial progress become savings rate, investment behavior, lifestyle decisions, time. And this is where things start to separate. You can have 2 people earning the same salary, living completely different financial lives. One builds wealth steadily, the other stays stuck. The difference is not income, it's how that income is structured and used. Let's make this practical. Imagine 2 people both earning $120,000 per year. Person A saves and invests 25% of their income consistently. Person B saves 5% and spends the rest on lifestyle upgrades, better apartment, newer car, more expensive habits. On paper, they earn the same. In reality, they're moving in completely different directions. After 10 years, the gap between them is not small, it's massive, and it has nothing to do with salary. This is where people get stuck. They assume the solution is always earn more. But once you pass a certain threshold, earning more without changing behavior doesn't create meaningful progress. It just expands your lifestyle. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most powerful forces working against long-term wealth. Every time income increases, expenses quietly rise to match it. Better housing, better car, more convenience, more consumption. And because these upgrades feel reasonable, they don't feel like mistakes. But they are trade-offs, and most people are making those trade-offs unconsciously. If this is making sense so far, take a moment to like the video. It helps more people see this, and most people don't hear this explained clearly. Now, here's where salary really starts to lose its power, when your fixed costs scale with your income. Because fixed costs determine how much flexibility you have. Housing is the biggest one. If your income doubles, but your housing costs double with it, your financial position hasn't improved nearly as much as you think. The same goes for cars, subscriptions, and recurring obligations. High fixed costs create pressure, and pressure removes flexibility. At that point, your salary becomes something you depend on, not something you control. This is why two high earners can feel completely different financially. One feels in control, the other feels trapped, not because of income, but because of commitments. The more your lifestyle requires your salary, the less your salary actually helps you. Let's shift to investing, because this is where the real change happens. At lower income levels, investing feels slow. Returns are small, progress is gradual. But as your invested capital grows, something changes. Your investments begin to contribute meaningfully. Eventually, they begin to matter more than your salary. This is the point most people never reach, not because it's impossible, but because they delay investing while increasing lifestyle. Here's a simple way to think about it. If you have $10,000 invested, a 10% return gives you $1,000. If you have $200,000 invested, that same 10% gives you $20,000. That's no longer insignificant. That's real income generated without trading time. And over time, that number grows. At a certain point, your investment returns start doing a meaningful portion of the work, and eventually, they can replace your salary entirely. This is when salary truly stops mattering, not because it disappears, but because it's no longer the primary driver. But getting here requires a shift. Instead of focusing on income alone, you start focusing on systems. How much you save, where you invest, how consistently you contribute, how you manage risk. These are not exciting topics, they don't feel urgent, but they determine outcomes. There's also a psychological shift that happens here. Early on, money is about survival. Later, it becomes about optimization, but eventually it becomes about control. Control over your time, your decisions, your environment. And salary alone does not give you that. This is why some people earning modest incomes build significant wealth over time, and others earning high incomes don't. Because wealth is not built by income alone. It's built by the gap between what you earn and what you keep and what you do with what you keep. If you're still early in your journey, this might sound abstract, but it becomes very real over time. You'll see people earning more than you but financially stressed, and others earning less but completely stable. That's not luck, that's structure. Now let's talk about what actually matters once salary stops being the main factor. First, savings rate. This is the engine of wealth building, not your income, but the percentage you keep. Second, investment consistency. Not timing, not perfection, consistency. Third, cost structure. Your biggest expenses determine your flexibility. Fourth, time. Time allows compounding to work. Without time, nothing matters. If you focus on these 4 variables, your salary becomes a tool, not a dependency. And that's the goal. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel. This is exactly what we focus on. Clear, practical breakdowns of how money actually works over time. Let's close this out. Salary matters a lot in the beginning. It gets you out of survival. It creates stability. But after a certain point, it stops being the main driver. What matters then is behavior, structure, and time. And most people never adjust. They keep chasing income, thinking it will solve problems that income alone cannot solve. But once you understand this shift, you start making different decisions. You stop optimizing for appearance and start optimizing for outcomes.
If this gave you a clearer perspective, like the video and comment below. At what income level do you think salary starts to matter less? No hype, no shortcuts, just clarity.
Like the video if this helped. Subscribe for more real estate and finance clarity.